Move through the year, and it's moving fast this new year. Many people have resolutions that move up the corporate ladder. That's kind of their big plan, is to get out of stuck and get into a new year with some new money, maybe. Whether that be through promotion or a raise or a new job, oftentimes these goals require some uncomfortable conversations, Melissa.
And that's why we have workplace expert Henna Pryor. She's out helping people overcome those fears and dive into the bold conversations that you sometimes just have to have. She's out with a new book. It's called Good Awkward: How to Embrace the Embarrassing and Celebrate the Cringe to Become the Bravest You. Henna, what a title. I love that.
Thank you for having me. We're going to start by keeping it awkward right out of the gate. I told people I wore this dress yesterday, so let's just...
And what did I tell you? I said, that's not cringe, that's smart.
That's what that's my
people
take.
Won't see it.
That's my take, too.
There you go.
Well, thanks for coming. And I want to begin, before we get into the tips that you have, what made you write this book? Because we all deal with cringe at one point or another.
Yeah, I don't think I've met a single person that doesn't say, you know, I feel awkward sometimes. I cringe at myself all the time. So what made me write this book? Short version, I felt awkward most of my life. My parents, my wonderful parents, are immigrants to the U.S. My mom's from Pakistan, my dad's from India, and growing up as a first-gen immigrant kid, I think a lot of people know that story. We're kind of trying to figure out, who am I, where do I fit in? And it constantly felt like the me I wanted people to see was clashing with the me that was on display.
Oh, wow.
And all those feelings came up again and again professionally, which made me get very curious. What is this emotion of awkwardness, and how can we learn about it and use it?
You know, awkwardness, as I'm reading your book and I'm learning more about you, you spent 20 years in the business, especially in corporate America. A lot of people stay in corporate America and just kind of chug along, right? Looking for a promotion, looking for an opportunity to get paid and get a raise. Let's talk about imposter syndrome for a moment. That happens to a lot of folks, especially folks who are not necessarily minded in corporate spaces. How would you deal with that? Is that a part of this awkward conversation, is overcoming?
Very much so. I think imposter syndrome speaks to this idea of feeling awkward in the room, in the conversation, raising your hand, who am I? And so the way we address it in this context is what we're really talking about is self-doubt. When we use the word imposter syndrome, oftentimes people use that a bit of an umbrella term. I have the syndrome. I've been afflicted with the syndrome. But the truth is, and we unpack this, is that there's different types of self-doubt. There's healthy self-doubt, which is, I feel a bit anxious in this room, I feel a bit nervous, but it's going to inspire me to prepare and research and work a little harder so that I can do well in that conversation. Unhealthy self-doubt is when that feeling of awkwardness overtakes us and we think, I'm not even going to raise my hand. I'm not even going to insert myself in this conversation. But healthy self-doubt is good, and so we need to actually embrace that form of awkwardness in the spirit of growth.
So for our viewers who are watching and they want to maybe ask for that promotion or at least put themselves out there or go out for that next job opportunity, what are some practical ways they can prepare for those conversations that will indeed show up?
Yeah, there's a couple things they can do. First thing is it begins before it begins, as my friend says. It begins before you go in for that conversation. Do some mindset work. Awkwardness exists in uncertainty. You're about to go into a conversation where I can pretty much guarantee that you're not going to know exactly how that's going to go to the letter. It might go this way, it might go that way, but it exists in that uncertainty. So prepare yourself for that. Calibrate your expectations. This may go the way I think it will, it might not. Either way, this is what I'm going in to say, and focus on that. If you do that, you've done your job. Focus on the process, not the outcome. The second thing is have some talk tracks. If somebody says something that you didn't expect, you're not ready for that raise, I don't know if that promotion's for you, have something on the ready to respond with. It could be something like, I didn't expect that response, say more. You know, I'm curious, can you say more about that? Ask questions. You don't have to respond in an immediate way with a solution to what they say or a disagreement. Just ask some questions, and then finally at the end, just take a second to think about, why did I feel so awkward? And is there something I can work on the next time? But ultimately, it's an unavoidable emotion when we can't predict other people's action.
Can I ask you this? When is it too early to ask for a promotion?
I spent 14 years in staffing, so I don't think there is a too early. I don't think there needs to be a certain amount of years of experience. I think what's more important is people share their contributions and their achievements. So if you are someone who has had a banner year, please do me a favor, don't wait until your promotion conversation to talk about yourself.
Brag about yourself.
And then bragging about yourself is awkward. I did my second TEDx is on this. Bragging about yourself is awkward, but if people don't know along the way what you've done, by promotion time, you can't spit it all out in one conversation. You have to be willing to embrace that awkwardness all year long, so people know that you're ready.
And at least begin documenting. That's the first step.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Henna. This is an incredible book. I had some other parts. This segment wasn't long enough. We got to have you back. But thanks for joining us, the author of Good Awkward. I think it's going to help a lot of people who are wanting to shift into an elevated space and level this year.